Thanks, Hugh. The Toronto Stadium bathed in sunshine, and it's time for the national anthems of both Germany and Ivory Coast. Both anthems got rapturous applause. The pomp and circumstance nearly at an end, and excitement reaching fever pitch. Germany, World Cup royalty, winners 4 times, runners-up 4 times, but since Die Mannschaft last hoisted that famous golden trophy towards the Brazilian sky in 2014, their lustre has somewhat faded. Germany exited at the group stage in the last 2 World Cups, deservedly in 2018, unluckily in 2022. Coach Julian Nagelsmann knows a win tonight achieves knockout qualification, and that is the bare minimum. But Ivory Coast aren't here to make up the numbers. The 2023 African champions edged out Ecuador 1-0 on match day 1, with a last gasp goal from Ahmad clinching all 3 points. Win the game, and they almost certainly win the group. Coach Emer Svei says they'll face today's opponents eyeball to eyeball. In his words, the Elephants will look to bring down the German wall. Let me give you the 2 lineups then. Germany with Manuel Neuer in goal, Nathaniel Brown, Nico Schlotterbeck, Jonathan Tah and Joshua Kimmich at the back, Alexander Pavlovic and Felix Metscher in midfield. Then it's Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, Leroy Sané in behind the Arsenal striker Kai Havertz. As for Ivory Coast, Yaya Fofana in goal, Gislan Konan, Emmanuel Agbadou, Odilon Kosunu and Wilfried Singo at the back. Chris Inau, Franck Kessié and Ibrahim Sangare in midfield. The front 3, Yann Diomande, Ange-Johan Bonny and Ahmad. Darren Bent, the former England striker, alongside me for this one. Darren, what do Ivory Coast have to do to unbalance this Germany team? Because we know how good Germany are going forward. What about defensively?
Yeah, good evening. They've got to stay compact, they've got to stay disciplined. I think you're going to get that a lot in today's game, is that if you want to get any against the Germans, a very good Germany team, we've just put 7 past Curaçao, you have to be disciplined. I think you're going to have to play the way you want to play, certainly on the front foot when you get an opportunity, but I don't think you can have the likes of Ahmad or Diomande kind of going off and doing their own thing. I think they're going to have to get back into their shape and help Konan and Singo, certainly from a defensive aspect, but when they get the opportunity to play, they can't shy away from that. If they've got opportunities in transition with the pace that they've got, they have to utilise that.
So much invention, so much pace, so much quality in both teams for this one. The Toronto Stadium full to the brim, a capacity of just under 46,000. The MLS club Toronto FC have their home here. The Canadian rugby team used to play their home games here. It's hosted ice hockey and lacrosse games, but for this one it is World Cup action, and like every World Cup game, you'll hear every kick with us on the TalkSport network. Every kick between now and that final. Who will lift that famous golden trophy? Germany, one of the contenders, but Ivory Coast are backing themselves, and Emer Svei, the inspirational coach who led them to AFCON glory in 2023, fully believes that they can cause an upset in Toronto and get through to the knockout phase of the World Cup finals for the first time in the nation's history. Ivory Coast playing in their first World Cup since 2014. They're in all orange for this one. Traditional home kit, Germany in those famous white shirts and black shorts. And the countdown nearly completes, and it's Germany who get us underway. Both Germany and Ivory Coast have a win in the books. Another victory in this one would guarantee a place in the last 32, and Germany on the attack straight away as the ball dropped for Kai Havertz 12 yards out, an instinctive left-footed volley that sends the ball over the crossbar.
Yeah, Schlotterbeck with a kind of direct pass, and it's Havertz who challenges the first one, but as he swivels, I think it's a little knockdown from Florian Wirtz, and as it drops he takes it on the way up. I think if he just waited half a second more, he could have got over the ball and had a clean strike, quite a clear strike. from the penalty spot. But again, good start from Germany. I mean, direct. It was nice to see them actually try and play out from the back, as opposed to most teams in this tournament at the minute just kicking the ball out for a throw on.
Yeah, that has become something of a fashion. First chance for Jan Diomande to make something happen down the left-hand side. Linked with the move to Liverpool. Liverpool are believed to have failed with a package of around €100 million. RB Leipzig want significantly more than that. Liverpool have been linked with a second offer, and Diomande actually just moving really gingerly on that left-hand side. Just suddenly seemed to crumple. We'll keep an eye on that one for you. We've barely had a minute in Toronto. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 0, and Diomande does not look happy with life right now.
Yeah, I think he clashed a little bit with Joshua Kimmich, and since that challenge he is moving a little bit, and to be fair to the Ivory Coast, they cannot afford to lose him, because that first game he was that shining light. Even though Ivory Coast got the result, I don't think they played particularly well, but he was someone who had rave reviews. I mean, he was brilliant on the front foot, getting at the full-backs, trying to create opportunities. Yeah, they can't afford to lose him.
Both teams won. Germany beat Curaçao 7-1 on match day 1. Ivory Coast had to wait a lot longer for their winner. It came in the 90th minute through Ahmad, who came on as a substitute to get the winner against Ecuador. Ecuador, who do have one of the best defensive units in the competition. Here's the Dortmund defender, Nico Schlotterbeck. Rangy stride, he hits it long towards the right-hand side, and Leroy Sané picks up possession on that right-hand side and exchanges passes with Mecha. It's back to Mecha, right corner of the penalty area. Germany just working it confidently and patiently in midfield, and Joshua Kimmich just floats the ball out to Florian Wirtz. Elastic control just in field from the left touchline. Wirtz, the Liverpool player who had his ups and downs in his first season in Anfield, but feels that he's getting stronger, feels he's getting more used to the helter-skelter nature of English football. Mecha had his pocket picked by Christ Inau in midfield, and now they're on the move, Ivory Coast, with Boni 35 yards from goal, inside left channel, out to Diomande. He'll get the chance to run at Germany now into the penalty area. On the outside, low ball into the box and cleared by Pavlovic. But again, you saw Diomande with that ability to go on the outside and get the ball in. Germany bringing the ball out towards halfway with Havertz, and he couldn't quite play Musiala into space, and it's well covered in the end by the experienced left back for Ivory Coast, Gislan Konan. 3 minutes gone, 0-0.
Yeah, it's good defending there from Joshua Kimmich, because he knows full well Diomande with the pace, he could get past him. He's probably a little bit too strong, a little bit too quick, so he almost just delayed him a little bit and just forced him down the line and waited for them to be a little bit of cover. And I think it was Jonathan Tah who managed to get over as well and just get a little block on it. But I do like the way that Germany have started, really sharp. I think every player so far has touched the ball. They're moving the ball extremely quick, and it's about Ivory Coast. Can they stay disciplined? Can they stay compact?
Forward by Odilon Kosunu, who did play his football in Germany earlier in his career. He's at Atalanta now in Italy, but he won the double under Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen and played a big part in that. Here's the energetic Wilfried Singo down the right for Ivory Coast, knocks it forward, and they've got men forward here with Kessié with an early ball, and that's deflected behind for an Ivory Coast corner, but the flag's actually gone up for offside. That's going to be a free kick to Germany, but Darren, we saw there again Wilfried Singo, who set up the goal for Ahmad against Ecuador, rampaging down that right-hand side.
Yeah, and that's going to be key. But they're the opportunities you can't turn down. I mean, it was a great run. He just went there maybe a little bit too early, which is why he was offside. But that's what you're going to have to do, because Germany tend to defend quite narrow, and they do leave space down the side. And if you can neutralise it with Wilfried Singo or the two wide players in Jan Diomande or Ahmad, then you're going to get joy there. Because I think if you try and go through the middle with the likes of Mecha in there, Pavlovic, there's not too much space in there.
Wirtz hugging the left touchline for Germany, midway inside the Ivory Coast half, tries to force it down the inside left channel. Got the ball all the way through to the Ivory Coast goalkeeper, Yaya Fofana, who hits it long. Fofana, who plays his football in Turkey with Rizespor. He's the undisputed number 1 for Ivory Coast. In fact, Enes Faye, his coach, said if I had to name an all-time African 11, I'd put Yaya in goal. High praise indeed.
That is very high praise, well, considering some of the goalkeepers that they've had.
There's Pavlovic for Germany in midfield, inside left channel, just inside the Ivory Coast half. 5 minutes gone, 0-0. Live World Cup coverage on TalkSport. Every kick of the tournament coming your way across TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Back with the goalkeeper Fofana, who hits it long for Ivory Coast towards Diomande with that headband. But he runs into Kimmich. It's a really good battle, that, because Joshua Kimmich usually plays in midfield, of course, for Bayern Munich, has done that successfully for hundreds of games. But Julian Nagelsmann uses him as a right back. He's going to need all of his concentration to deal with Diomande.
Well, that's the battle I'm fascinated to see, because you said that you've got the young, hungry, quick, exciting Diomande up against the experience of Joshua Kimmich. Now, he's not known for his pace, but so far in this early stages, you can quite clearly see every single time Diomande tries to get the ball, he's right tight behind him, he's not going to allow him to turn. It's going to be fascinating.
Joshua Kimmich with his 112th cap for Germany in this one. Played every minute of the last 2 World Cups for Germany and the last 2 European Championships. He has become an indispensable player for both Bayern and Germany, and they're combining down the left-hand side with the attacking Nathaniel Brown, who loves to get forward from left-back. Really caught the eye against Curaçao, scored his first international goal, but the attack breaks down, and Ivory Coast generally, Darren Bent, dealing pretty well with these early German attacks.
Exactly that, and they've all been switched on, defended really, really well, been physical with Germany, certainly in the attacking third. But Florian Wirtz was trying to try and create a little bit of space, and they're right into him, not allowing him the space that he wants to work in as well. So Ivory Coast have got to keep this up, because that is where Germany, I believe, are at their best. They almost just wear you down, and you switch off just once and they create opportunities.
Great run down the left hand side here from Antoine Bonny for Ivory Coast, who's just won the League and Cup double with Inter in Italy, and he's got to the corner flag, whips it in left-footed. Kessié tries to bring the ball down right corner of the penalty area, manages to do so eventually, finds Singo back to Kessié, and that's loose from him. And now they're on the move, Germany, on the counter-attack, and the counter-attacks are going to be really important in this game. And here's Musiala looking for the fleet-footed Leroy Sané, but the former Manchester City player can't latch onto it. And again, Ivory Coast tidy up well, and it's worth bearing in mind that Ivory Coast did not concede a single goal in qualification for this World Cup. They won 8 games and drew 2, and the 25 goals they scored were shared among 15 different players. They're a threat.
That is so impressive, certainly from a defensive standpoint, and obviously their first game as well didn't concede another goal, so they clearly know what they're doing in terms of defensively organised. Because as you can see there, even with that run from Leroy Sané, which was a fantastic run from right to left inside the fullback, the gap was there. The gap was open. All of a sudden they just closed the door and there was nowhere for him to run. And I think they're going to have to keep that up, because at some stage you'd expect Germany to start to exploit some of the gaps that Ivory Coast leave.
The diminutive Christ Inal, who is the youngest ever World Cup starter for Ivory Coast at 20 years old, had a nice little spin in midfield there, but eventually was just levered off the ball, and he's had some nice touches already. Plays his football in Turkey with Trabzonspor. And he's a player with a huge amount of self-confidence, which is not a bad thing in a footballer.
Not bad at all. But Kev, you mentioned there Joshua Kimmich. How is he viewed compared to Lahm? Philip Lahm?
Yeah, I think he's up there now. I think you look at the body of work that he's produced both for club and country. The only thing that's missing is success at international level, and it's hurt him so very much that they've not succeeded on his watch. Maybe he could change that in this World Cup. Here's Brown from the left, low ball into Havertz, tried to lay it into the path of Florian Wirtz on the edge of the area, and Wirtz has gone and had the tenacity to win that ball back, having lost it. Plays it in field to Mecha, moves it along here for Pavlovic, 20 yards out inside left channel, back to Mecha. Just keeps it moving. Good football from Germany. Kimmich with a right-footed ball in, and the header is brilliantly kept out by Fofana. It was Havertz who jumped for it, and the ball was spinning towards the bottom corner, and Yaya Fofana with the first meaningful save of the game.
Joe, it's a great cross from Joshua Kimmich on this right-hand side, but I just wonder for Kai Havertz, who gets up really well. I think it's more shoulder than head, because I think if he heads it clearly and his little flick glance off his head, it probably finds its way into that far left-hand corner. But because it comes more off his shoulder and part of his head, he can't quite generate the power, and it is a fantastic save from Fofana. But I think when he looks at that, Kai Havertz will think, if I could have got more purchase with my head, I'll probably score there.
Kai Havertz, who scored 6 goals for Arsenal in an injury-hit season, of course scored in the Champions League final against PSG, scored really early on in that game, but Arsenal eventually defeated on penalties. And we've just seen the replay on our monitors, actually. Darren's absolutely right. He heads it onto his shoulder, doesn't he? And that just allows Yaya Fofana to get down to his right-hand side and push that ball away. But an early sign of Kimmich's ability to whip that ball into the box. Now a chance for Diomande. And Kimmich was on him straight away. It was a ball that just got away from Diomande, and Kimmich didn't ask twice. launched into the challenge, and now Musiala's been brought down by Wilfried Singo in the centre circle. That's going to be a free kick to Germany. 11th minute on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 0.
Yeah, Joshua Kimmich there is definitely winning that battle so far between himself and Diomande. Every single time there's a challenge to be won or them to win the ball back, Diomande just can't get set. He's trying to get his feet sorted, get his touch right, and the moment he gets his head up to kind of go with it and dribble with it, Kimmich is behind him, putting a challenge in.
Nico Schlotterbeck's got a bit of a problem here. Germany's left-sided centre-back. He went down a few minutes ago. He's just moving a bit gingerly at the moment. Keep an eye on that. Here is Diomande, who seems okay after his early knock. Left edge of the penalty area, into the box now. Nice back heel. Conan with the cross, it's a good one. Headed away by Brown, not very far, and Singo on the follow-up just inside the box. Had his shot charged down, but yet again, Ivory Coast looking dangerous.
Yeah, really good play again then from Ivory Coast, because they won the ball back from Kai Havertz, who didn't see Frank Kesse coming the wrong side of him. He poked it away, and then they were away Ivory Coast, and they put a really good ball into the box. And I just wonder for Frank Kesse if he could have maybe gambled a little bit more, because the ball landed just where he should have been. He got himself underneath it, but again, Ivory Coast being compact, disciplined, and then counter-attacking when they get the opportunity.
Bit of space here down the left-hand side for Jamal Musiala. He was a wonderful player to watch in full flow. Had his season ruined by injury. Missed half of it. Here is Zane down the right-hand side, drops the shoulder and moves it on his favoured left foot. Finds Mecha, tall, rangy strides. The Borussia Dortmund midfielder, he's come on leaps and bounds this season. His brother Lucas Mecha plays for Leeds United, helped them avoid relegation in the Premier League this season. Here is Schlotterbeck again, drives it forward with his left foot towards Havertz inside left channel, but it bounces beyond the Arsenal man and all the way through to the goalkeeper Fofana. 0-0 on TalkSport. Germany and Ivory Coast chasing what would be back-to-back wins at this World Cup, but so far no goals in the Toronto Stadium. The stadium split in half, really. Shade all down the Ivory Coast left, bright sunshine down the right hand side. And here is Kosunu in the sunshine, wearing number 7, which for a centre back is unforgivable. I don't know how it's turned out like that. Darren Bent is shaking his head, and rightly so, if you ask me.
It's like when William Gallas went to Arsenal and wore number 10 as centre half. That, honestly,
unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
Here is Diomande scampering down the left, and actually it bounced off him, and he's really angry with himself because he was away and clear down that left-hand side. And actually, by Diomande's standards, the player that lit up the Bundesliga this season, 12 goals and 8 assists, has actually not started that well in some ways.
He hasn't. I mean, the movement there was fantastic, because he went in short and then spun in behind, and Joshua Kimmich couldn't deal with him, couldn't live with the pace, but his touch just let him down there. But Schlotterbeck, this is a bit of a concern, because he's gone down again now. He's just taken the strapping off his ankle, and he'll be a miss, because he's passing so far this first half with that left foot. I mean, he's put a couple of diagonals over the top for Leroy Sané to get on. He's found Kai Havertz's chest a couple of times as well, so if he's struggling, he goes off. It's a big concern. I mean, they've got the old magic sponge out, which I've not seen in years, so hopefully that will do the...
Well, of course, he'll have to go off as well for a minute, which is one of the new rules that's been brought in for the World Cup, so it is clearly a problem for Nico Schlotterbeck. He missed a big chunk of the domestic season with a knee injury. Said it's extremely difficult watching your teammates train and play when you're on crutches, desperate to get back on the pitch. Said he had to slow down his comeback at times because he was getting overexcited and pushing too hard. But Germany are going to be down to 10 men temporarily, and Julian Nagelsmann's going to have a decision to make soon. He's got decent centre-backs in reserve, it's fair to say. Antonio Rudiger, massively experienced, and Waldemar Anton, who's had a phenomenal season for Borussia Dortmund. But at the moment, Schlotterbeck still having treatment, and Manuel Neuer will take his time about this goal kick. 21st World Cup Finals appearance for Manuel Neuer, more than any other goalkeeper in the tournament's history. He's 40 years of age.
For me, greatest goalkeeper ever. And I know that's a conversation that people might say, well, you just said that quite quickly, but when we've done your all-time world 11s, I know you've got the likes of Casillas in there and Buffon and certainly great goalkeepers, but for me, Manuel Neuer, that almost sweeper keeper, he's changed the way goalkeepers play.
Won the World Cup in 2014. He's won 13 Bundesliga titles with Bayern Munich. That's as many as anyone. Thomas Müller he's level with at the top of the all-time list. He's won the German Cup 7 times. It's remarkable he's even out there when you bear in mind he broke his leg really seriously in a skiing accident. And the doctors told him he had pretty much a 10% chance of getting back to full fitness. But Manuel Neuer doesn't do percentages like that, and he fought his way back, and here he is at a World Cup.
Absolutely incredible, and getting him to come back and play. I mean, he is a top quality goalkeeper. Shot stopping, playing with his feet, just that kind of charisma that he plays with in goal as well. I mean, if you're a defender and you know you've got him behind you, that must make all the difference.
Germany slowed it down so much that Schlotterbeck was able to come back onto the field with no problems. And Ivory Coast unable to take advantage. 16 gone on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 0. Kevin Hatchard alongside the former England striker Darren Bent for this one. It's with Kimmich on the edge of his own area, just calmly rolls it square to Jonathan Tah. Double winner with Bayer Leverkusen and a double winner with Bayern Munich. And here's Brown racing down the left for Germany. Early cross behind Havertz. He was looking for Havertz, I think, but he went behind him, and Sané couldn't pick up the pieces on the edge of the area before Ivory Coast were able to clear. But we've seen Nathaniel Brown race down the left quite a lot.
Yeah, we have, but again, it's the trickery of Florian Wirtz getting on that half turn, a nice little Cruyff turn, then with the outside of his boot he just rolls it down that left hand side. And as you said there, Brown done the first part really well, because he got away from the defender, but he just put it into the wrong area. I mean, to be fair, the movement was non-existent. They were all in a straight line. No one was going pulling off to the penalty spot. No one was trying to get across the near post, and he almost misses them all with one pass.
Musiala plays it around the corner to Pavlovic inside left channel. Now back to Musiala, edge of the area. Right foot shot, and it whizzes beyond the far post. It only takes a moment for Jamal Musiala to make something happen, and he found that pocket of space, and he did not miss by much.
Yes, great little play, little 1-2 with Pavlovic as well. You can see what he's trying to do. He's just on the edge of the D, on the edge of the box on that left hand side, and he's trying to find that far corner, but he doesn't get enough purchase in terms of a whip on it. He almost kind of straight toes it, and it just flies past that far post. I mean, he's trying to obviously bend it with the inside of his foot, but just gets a little bit too much on it, and it flies past the post. But again, really good play there from Jamal Musiala and Pavlovic. Nice little link up.
Singo quickly charged down by Florian Wirtz, who is willing to work without the ball. You look at his numbers at Bayer Leverkusen when he was in Germany, very impressive in terms of winning that ball back, and it's such a big part of what Julian Nagelsmann wants to do with Germany. As soon as they lose the ball, they go and counter-press, and they do take risks in that regard. It was the same at Bayern when Nagelsmann was the coach there. He was happy for the centre-backs to have that added pressure of being the last line, while pretty much the rest of the team went to try and hunt the ball. And was challenged by Pavlovic just down by the touchline, which the referee Juan Gabriel Benitez of Paraguay was happy to let run. Ivory Coast felt they should have had a free kick there, but the referee says nothing doing. And now it's Wirtz again, really wide, finding Pavlovic dead centre, 30 yards from goal. Plays a 1-2 with Musiala. So much quality in the final third for Germany. It's been a big debate in Germany about whether you could fit Wirtz and Musiala in the same team, but they did that at the Euros. And they got to the quarter-finals, Germany. Here's Brown inside left channel, rolls it into the area, a bit too strong, and Fofana's able to get there ahead of Kai Havertz, but you get the sense, Darren Bent, that this is a Germany team that's starting to push.
Yeah, they are, and again, that little touch there comes from Florian Wirtz, because they play into his feet, and he just doesn't even look. He just knows exactly where Brown is, and he just helps it round the corner, and that's what we were talking about before. He sees pictures and passes that other players just don't see, and he doesn't have to look at you to know that the ball's coming, because that little run there from Brown, he went intentionally knowing that, well, I know he's seen me, he may not be looking at me, but he knows exactly where I am, and he just nicks it around the corner, and Germany are in again. So Florian Wirtz has looked really sharp this first 20 minutes.
He's pretty sanguine about that first year at Anfield. He said it's a season at Liverpool that's made me stronger. I had to overcome resistance and adapt. Said Julian Nagelsmann's always been willing to listen to me and support me. Said it's brought us closer together. And he's got huge self-belief, Florian Wirtz, and why wouldn't you have? At one stage he was the youngest ever goal scorer in the Bundesliga. He's since been surpassed in that regard. Here's Brown now again for Germany, down the inside left channel. Plays it out towards Wirtz. It wasn't the best of passes, but he's reeled it in, the Liverpool man, away from Singo, into the area, trying to find Musiala, but they were a bit too tight to each other there. But it's come here for Mecha. Right foot shot deflected, and it ripples the roof of the net. Felix Mecha, who got the opener against Curaçao, came close to the opener here, but it's a corner for Germany.
Yeah, Ivory Coast are starting to cause their own problems now because they're giving the ball away in the wrong areas. I mean, he's tried a really cute pass. I think it was Frank Kesse, tried a really cute pass on the edge of his own box. Germany win the ball back, and it was a great strike from Mecha. But in the end, I think it was Agbadou who manages to get a good block in, and it flies over the bar. But Germany, with his last 5-10 minutes, are starting to kind of up the tempo, up the press, and up the energy.
Brown to take the corner, a player who's expected to join Bayern Munich. He has been linked with a move to Arsenal. He's expected to make the move to Bayern. He's played the corner short. Kimmich whips it in to the far post. Goalkeeper struggling, and the ball is in the net. But the whistle has gone. Pavlovic thought he'd scored. It was he who leapt highest at the far post, but it looks like this will be given as a foul on the goalkeeper Fofana. But it seemed to me, Darren Bent, that the goalkeeper was all over the place there, and Pavlovic wheeled away in celebration.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how much contact there was, because from that angle there, it doesn't look like there's much, because if anything, Pavlovic's back is to the goalkeeper, but you know, it's like sometimes, I mean, you look at it there, he's probably going to get the foul, the goalkeeper, looking at a replay, because his arms are kind of interlinked with Fofana's, but also as well, there's a little bit of contact in terms of the body, where Pavlovic jumps into the goalkeeper and doesn't allow him to pick it up. So, I mean, the goalkeeper's milking it, because he didn't go down, he weren't that hard, that he got hit.
Well, the thing is that Fofana ends up facing his own goal, so his body shape is completely wrong, isn't it, really?
But I'm just not sure if Pavlovic, the contact with Pavlovic is the reason as to why, but I mean, now he's down, holding his face, holding his arm. I don't think it was that bad.
Let's just say Yaya Fofana is trying to sell this decision, because he's made a real mess of trying to grab that cross. They played it short, he was whipped in. Julian Nagelsmann went straight to the fourth official and said no foul, no foul. He wagged his finger. He was absolutely convinced that that goal should have stood, but it looks as though it's not going to, and Alexander Pavlovic will be denied his second international goal. A player that's been desperately unlucky, Pavlovic. He missed the Euros in 2024 with an acute case of tonsillitis. Said these things happen, there was nothing I could do about it. Said my family helped me take my mind off things and create some distance. But he then went on to have glandular fever, so he's been really unlucky with illness. Ivory Coast are desperate to get back on with this, just to make sure it doesn't get reviewed. Of course, they do check it as a matter of course. They check all goals. And it seems as though Yaya Fofana, who is now back on his feet, is going to get away with one. But we've had 23 minutes here on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 0 in Toronto. And Darren Bent, what have you made of it so far?
Yeah, to me it feels like a matter of time before Germany maybe unlock this Ivory Coast defensive line, because to be fair to Ivory Coast, at first, the first 10-15 minutes, they were winning the ball back, they were counter-attacking really well. Diamandi was getting his 1v1s, but since then, Germany have almost just kind of tightened up a little bit. They started to play more in Ivory Coast half. The Ertz is starting to have a big say in it. Musiala as well. I think Pavlovic has been fantastic. I think he's really been good, kind of setting the play, getting on the ball, linking well with Musiala as well. So you don't say Germany the last 10 minutes have been the better side.
Just 22 years old, Alexander Pavlovic. Extraordinary talent. Player that's come through the ranks at Bayern. They were starting to get a bit twitchy about that, Bayern not bringing enough players through, and he's been a bit of a poster boy for them in the last couple of seasons. Here's Schlotterbeck, who seems okay after those early injury problems. Jonathan Tah, the imperious figure at the back for Germany, just playing it square, and now Zane tied to the right touchline. No longer plays in German football at club level. He's in Turkey with Galatasaray. Spins here down by the corner flag on the near side, the right, plays it infield. He was looking for the run of Pavlovic, and now all the way back to Joshua Kimmich and Manuel Neuer, all in powder blue for this one in the sunshine in Toronto. So around about 4:25 in the afternoon local time. There's bright sunshine, and we have the first hydration break of the game. Not universally welcomed by the crowd, perhaps.
Absolutely.
From what you can hear.
Absolutely. I mean, straight away, the moment he made the symbol for the hydration break, the boos were ringing really, really loud, and I just don't think people want it. They don't need it. I can understand it in certain conditions where it is roasting hot, like, and the altitude that I understand, but I know this is an open air stadium, but seeing the hydration breaks in air conditioned stadiums, I think they have to look at it. And I know you want to see it the same across the board, but I think each situation should be taken in isolation, because there's no way in an air-conditioned stadium should you need a hydration break.
Well, the ship sailed for this tournament, that's certainly the case, but interesting to see what FIFA do in tournaments to come. Plenty of games coming your way, by the way, on TalkSport. 1 o'clock in the morning, it's Ecuador against Curaçao, the other game in this group. Then at 5 a.m, it's Tunisia against Japan. Then later on Sunday at 5 p.m, Spain against Saudi Arabia. Can Spain kickstart their campaign after that goalless draw with Cape Verde? 8 o'clock, we've got Belgium against Iran. And then 11 o'clock Sunday night, Uruguay against Cape Verde. Great opportunity for those celebrating Father's Day to just listen to the radio all day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually that. I think I was due to be working actually, but as you said, Father's Day takes precedent over anything. But I should certainly keep my eye on some of the results. The Spain one is really fascinating. After the start they made against Cape Verde, they have to be better. They have to be.
It was too slow, wasn't it? I mean, Cape Verde were fantastic, no doubt about that, but Spain were far too slow in all of their processes, moving the ball, the movement up front. It just wasn't good enough, was it?
It wasn't there at all. Yarzabal would look back at that, and I'm not quite sure how fit he was because he had his whole knee strapped up, but he had some good chances, but he just looked a little bit lethargic, wasn't quite at it. But listen, Spain, you're not European champions for a reason, so I think that they will be better. But they know that they have to win their next game, because they would have looked at that Cape Verde result and gone, or that game and gone, well, that's a banker, there's 3 points, and it didn't work out that way.
Incidentally, not just a hydration break for the players, a hydration break for the pitch, because they've turned on the sprinklers during the break, which is an interesting move. Just keep that ball zipping along. Ivory Coast so far, Darren Ben, disappointing going forward, and as you've said, started to make a few mistakes defensively. Yan Diamande's had some runs down that left-hand side, hasn't really made best use of the ball that he's had. Ahmad on that right-hand side, we haven't seen him at all.
No, he's been non-existent, and Diamande, when we spoke about him before the game, we spoke about how brilliant he was in game 1 against Ecuador, but he almost looks like he's a man trying to do too much. Like, we know how good he is, we know he's been linked to some of the biggest clubs in the world, and he's just getting the ball, and it's almost like he's trying to do something before he's actually got good possession of it. Like he's trying to turn Joshua Kimmich before he's actually got the ball, and it's coming off his toe. Kimmich's manages to win the ball back. He's overhit a couple of passes. He just needs to relax a little bit and go, do you know what? Let me just get on the ball, get back to it. Maybe the next couple of touches, play it a little bit simple, but then when you get the opportunity, which he will get, 1v1 with Kimmich, then you go and show everyone how good you are.
Back underway in Toronto. It'll be Singo to take the throw, midway inside his own half on the far side, the right. Wilfried Singo, former Monaco player, now plays for Galatasaray, who reached the knockout phase of the Champions League this season and were hammered by Liverpool over 2 legs. Even though they did very well in the first leg, they collapsed at Anfield. And now they work it across to Emmanuel Agbadou, former Wolves player. He's in Turkey for Besiktas. And a bit of space for Christ Inau, only 20. Certainly doesn't play like he's only 20. He wants the ball, he wants to make things happen. And he's playing against some pretty experienced midfielders in there and doesn't look out of place. And here he is again, just to the left of the centre circle. Christ Inau, and he finds Yan Diamande. He'll run at Kimmich. Diamande now down the edge of the penalty area. Left-footed ball in is a really good one to the far post and smashed in on the rebound. Franck Kessié. Diamande dazzled down the left. Germany couldn't clear their lines, and it's Franck Kessié, their leader, who comes up with the goal. It's a goal against the run of play, and the Elephants will not care. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1.
Yeah, fantastic from Diamande, and we spoke about him there and how good he is and what he could do. He just waited, he was patient. At first he got himself into position, and I think it's Conan who does him no favours with the run, almost takes his space, but it doesn't matter. Diamande goes past Kimmich and gets to the byline, and he drills a fantastic cross across the 6-yard box. Ahmad probably should score, but it's a fantastic block. I think it's from Slotterbeck, really good block. But then there's Franck Kessié, who's there to follow up with the rebound, and he gets his right foot onto the ball just on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he manages to toe it back into that far corner. It's a great goal. It's probably come against the run of play, but Diamande showing the world why he's one of the most sought after players in the world, because of that run there going past Kimmich and creating that opportunity. Great goal for Ivory Coast.
It's Franck Kessier's 106th cap today, which takes him beyond the great Didier Drogba to number 3 on the all-time list, behind Didier Zokora and Kolo Touré. And he has celebrated that milestone with a famous goal. And for all of Germany's progressive play, for all of the threat that they carried, they find themselves behind on the half hour. Franck Kessié with the goal. And Kessié, a player who's shown that he has great pedigree in the European game. He was at Milan, he was at Barcelona, but he's won the Asian Champions League twice with Al Ahly. And he showed there that he can make an impact in a big World Cup game.
Yeah, really good goal for himself. But do you know what? It was Nathaniel Brown with a fantastic block, because when Diomande goes down the line and puts in that brilliant cross, Ahmad should score, but it's Nathaniel Brown who blocks it on the line. It falls back kindly to Franck Kessié, and then he's there. All good midfield players should be following up, and he just taps it into the empty net. And again, as I said, that if Diomande was a little bit more patient, which he was in that scenario, he finally got the 1v1, he got the ball under control, and the moment he runs at Kimmich, we know how good he is, no one can stop him.
Just remember, whoever wins this game is guaranteed a place in the last 32. And there's Diomande working the ball in fields. Diomande with that assist. It was his cross that led to the goal. A player that was involved in 20 Bundesliga goals for Leipzig. Here's Ahmad trying to burst into the box on the right-hand side, but runs out of real estate, and Germany able to clear. Schlotterbeck just booms it high in the air. Kessié, the goal scorer, with the flick on, and Ivory Coast tidy up. Playing in their first World Cup since 2014, they have never made it out of the group stage. But here they are in Toronto, 1-0 up against Germany. Ball is pumped down the left towards Diomande, up against Kimmich again, and he's got there. Diomande ahead of Joshua Kimmich. And he rolls it back to Conan, the left back. He works it back towards halfway. As Agbadou just plays a little 1-2 with Nottingham Forest's Ibrahim Sangare. Sangare across now to Kosunu, and he goes long down the right hand side. Ivory Coast, that goal has transformed them. Real belief now. Curling cross from Singo from the right. It's easily dealt with by Germany now, and Wirtz will bring it away down the left hand side. But that's great tracking back by Ivory Coast there. It was wonderful work from Boni, the centre forward, who went all the way back with him, and that's the kind of work you need.
It is the kind of work you need, but you know what, that's the run from Ivory Coast. They've done it on both sides now, where they're going short and they're spinning behind. We've seen Diomande do it in that situation there. We saw Singo there as well, where he saw the opportunity, where he showed to feet and he's spanning behind, and at the minute both fullbacks, Nathaniel Brown and Joshua Kimmich, are both getting kind of caught with that, like they're almost ball watching a little bit, and the ball's going over their head, and Ivory Coast, with the pace that they've got, are getting in every single time. So that's what one obviously avenue that Germany needs to look at. But for Ivory Coast, don't shy away from that. Keep doing it.
The voice there of the former England striker Darren Bent. We're listening to live World Cup coverage on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. Franck Kessié with the goal against the run of play. And now Sfei, the coach of Ivory Coast, won't care about that. And he was bullish ahead of the game. Said his team would break the German wall. Well, they've taken out the first couple of blocks of it with that goal. And only one team has come back to win after conceding first at this World Cup. That was Korea Republic against Czechia on the opening day. Ball is jabbed forward towards the goal scorer Kessié, but volleyed away by Nathaniel Brown down the left for Germany. But Ivory Coast have really swelled in confidence since getting that goal, and it's one of the oldest cliches in the book, Darren, but it's true, goals change games.
Absolutely, and they're playing with a lot more now confidence, you'd have to say, because at times they were a little bit excited when they were getting to good areas and giving the ball away, but certainly now since they've got that goal, they're playing with a lot more care, a lot more freedom, and they look dangerous every single time. And then, as I said, they're not overplaying now, they're just clipping the ball in behind, and that's where they're getting a lot of joy.
Incredible noise around the stadium when that goal went in from Kessié. The support for Ivory Coast really quite something. And we've noticed a few Netherlands shirts dotted around the Toronto Stadium, and I imagine they'd have cheered pretty loudly for an Ivory Coast goal against Germany. But it really was wonderful play from Diomande down the left ahead of that goal. And the kind of thing that makes him so dangerous, because he can go inside and outside. You never quite know what he's going to do. We've seen him so often come in off that left wing onto his stronger right foot, but he's capable on both wings of doing either, and that makes him very unpredictable. Here is Pavlovic, who's had lots of touches of the ball in that midfield. That's what he does. He's an organiser. He's a metronome. Robertson Sarr just punching the ball through the lines to find Musiala in the 10 position with 10 on his back, the Bayern Munich man. But another German attack breaks down as Agbadou just hooks the ball over his right shoulder towards the right-hand side as Ivory Coast look at it. And then Brown thought he kept the ball in, but he was just leaving off possession. And that's going to be a throw to Ivory Coast in their own right-back zone. Germany's qualification for these finals was far from straightforward. They lost their opening game 2-0 in Slovakia. It was only a 6-0 win over Slovakia in the final round of matches that secured their spot at these finals. That was their best performance of the qualification campaign under pressure. Handball given against young Christ Inau. And it's going to be a free kick to Germany.
Yeah, again, good play from Christ Inau because he got the ball under control and he drove with it a little bit harsh with the handball, but there's real belief in this Ivory Coast team in a minute that they can hurt Germany because they're getting back into shape very, very quickly, a lot quicker than they were doing certainly in the first 15 minutes, but they at least now know with the belief they've got. Certainly Diomande for himself, who maybe started off the game a little bit overexcited, he knows he can hurt Kimmich. Kimmich is one of the best players, we understand that, can play a number of positions, but defensively 1v1, the one thing that kills is pace, and Diomande's got that in abundance.
I've seen Kimmich struggle with Vinicius Junior in Champions League games against Real Madrid when he's played in that right-back role. Here's Musiala, though, finding Zane 20 yards from goal inside right channel for Germany. Pavlovic now wearing number 5 comes forward. He's encouraged to come forward there. He was urged to shoot by the German fans in this stadium, but turned down that opportunity. He's not a regular goal scorer, Alexander Pavlovic. It's not really what he's in the team for. He's just been crunched in midfield, but the referee Benitez says play on. And now Diomande coming down the central third of the pitch, finds Boni wearing number 9, right foot shot, and it looked like it might curl away from Manuel Neuer, and such is the casual nature of Neuer. He took 2 steps to his left, just grabbed the ball.
Yeah, at first I thought it was going in. I mean, does really well. Boni gets himself into a really good position, 3v3. I think Diomande does really well. He chooses the right option there to play it to his left, and he just tries to use the defender and bend it round him, and it's an opportunity there, but as you said there, Neuer doing what Neuer does.
Musiala just dancing down that left edge of the area, but he's dispossessed by Ahmad, who then plays a really risky pass to Christ Inau, who did brilliantly under pressure, somehow managed to spin out of trouble. And now it's with Conan in the left back zone for Ivory Coast. Into Sangare, under pressure from Wirtz, plays it to Kosunu, who loses it, comes to Wirtz in the area, Florian Wirtz across to Havertz, who sweeps it home, but the referee looks as though he's chalking this off. He's waving his hands. Havertz has just realised it was a real mess from Ivory Coast, but I think the referee's given a foul on Kosunu, but he let play go on for a little while to see if Germany would score. They did score, and now they'll take a look at it.
I mean, it's a real mess from the referee as well, because I'm not quite sure what he's allowing to continue, because there's a clear foul. You can see I think it's Musiala, he trips, I think it's Agbadou, the defender, but then the referee allows it to play on Germany score, and then he says foul. So I think he's messed up that scenario. Just blow the whistle straight away.
So I think he clearly wasn't sure, was he, about whether it was fully a foul. The goal is not going to stand, by the way. Kosunu was tripped on the edge of the area by Musiala. That seemed pretty clear to us. But the referee, I think, wanted to play on to see if Germany scored, and then they could have a look with VAR. But then as soon as the ball went in, he was the one who chalked it off without VAR help. So he took the long way round to get to the right decision, but I think we got there in the end. Germany have won a free kick. We're in the 40th minute here on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. A shock brewing in Toronto. The goal from Franck Kessié, but Germany do have a free kick.
We've seen a replay there, it's a clear foul. I mean, I don't know what he was waiting for, but I think, again, Ivory Coast, what they've done really well this last 10 minutes, they've really got after the German players, and you've seen it there with Pavlovic, and you saw Musiala. They're starting to go down a little bit easier than they were, and they're not getting, the referee's allowing play to continue, and that's allowing Ivory Coast to kind of break, get on the front foot, and carry the team up the pitch.
So it's Zane and Kimmich over this one, inside right channel, about 40 yards from goal, maybe a bit closer than that actually, but probably too far out for a shot. So it'll be Kimmich probably to lift this towards the far post. It's exactly what he does. The header away is not a good one. It nearly dropped for Schlotterbeck, but just taken off his toe, and now Ahmad can break at the other end for Ivory Coast. Ahmad against Brown, he just took too long, and Mecha came back and picked his pocket before Ahmad had really realised what was going on, and the Manchester United winger lost possession. Here at the other end come Germany. It's bubbling up nicely, this one, at the Toronto Stadium. Great work from Musiala, getting away from Singo. He's rolled it to Wirtz. Florian Wirtz, and the shot dragged wide of the target. Took a deflection on its way through off Agbadou. It'll be a corner for Germany, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, great play from Musiala again, but I think for Wirtz, when he plays the ball into Wirtz, his touch his head gets away from him a little bit, and that allows the defender to get the block in. And when it's great play on that left-hand side from Jamal Musiala, gets it to a good area, a little ricochet, but it's Wirtz, his first touch gets away from him, and that just encourages the Ivory Coast defenders to kind of close that space, because it would have been a clear strike had he got the ball under control on the edge of the edge of the box.
Joshua Kimmich, hands on hips, away on the far side, the left, as we look at it for Germany, ready to take this in swinging corner. Lots of air on it, towards the far post. Tar jumped for it, headed away well though. Volley from the edge of the box from Musiala, comes for Schlotterbeck 12 yards out, but he couldn't get the shot away, and Ivory Coast, all hands to the pump there, were able to clear it.
Yeah, I mean, they're checking.
Yeah, it was a quick check, it's over already. Kimmich wide on the left hand side, rolls it down the touchline for Wirtz, in towards Musiala. Great touch in by Christie now. It was a really important touch from the youngster there, and then the clearance was completed by Singo on that far side, the Ivory Coast right, and they've switched it from right to left. And you know what comes next? Yan Diomande moving through the gears. Brown's come across to try and deal with him, so he goes back to Conan. I think Diomande realised that Brown's one of the few players on the pitch that can keep pace with him, and thought, okay, that's not what I fancy at the moment, let's go backwards.
Yeah, I'll just turn back and pass it backwards. But do you know what? This scenario, I think Ivory Coast have done this really well, certainly better since they've gone in front. When they've won the ball back, the first 15 minutes they were in such a hurry to get it forward, they kept giving the ball away. But since they've taken the lead, when they win the ball back, they're now getting 4, 5, 6 passes and just kind of feeling the ball again, playing at their own pace, making sure everyone gets a good touch, and they're almost allowing Germany to kind of press them, and then once they do go and press, then they'll step onto it and start to kind of move the ball. But I like the fact they're just retaining possession for now.
Big test this for Germany. These teams have only ever met once before in international football. That was a friendly in 2009. It ended 2-2, and this has been pretty lively in Toronto. Germany pressing well, but Ivory Coast, well, they were playing out pretty well, but then gave the ball away very cheaply in midfield with Sangare, who's usually better than that. Former PSV player who was successful in the Netherlands, and he was linked with a Premier League move for a long time before he actually made one. And the Germany attack breaks down that left-hand side. Germany, Darren Bent, for the first half hour, looked really smooth going forward. Since the goal, it's been a bit more ragged from them.
Yeah, a little bit off the cuff more, you'd have to say, in this last 15 minutes, because Ivory Coast, to be fair, a lot of their body's central, so they're really blocking those central areas where I think Germany were getting a lot of joy, certainly the first part. But since they've got that goal in, they've almost shut up shop in that middle area, and there's just literally no space.
Wirtz has played a nice ball to Zane, but again, just as Darren Bent was saying, Ivory Coast are fighting fires all over the pitch and doing it pretty well. There was a loose touch there from Diomande, but he was able to catch up with it. Had a bit of everything from Diomande in this first half. The good, the bad and the ugly, I think. But he is a phenomenal talent. He's a guy that's having an extraordinary rise when you think about it. After 3 years playing in the youth league in the US, he moved to Spain and Leganés. Only made his professional debut last March. And 10 La Liga appearances for Leganés. Debut against Real Madrid, first start against Barcelona. No problems there. And then RB Leipzig paid €20 million to bring him to Germany. And he's now one of the best young talents in the game. Here's Zane coming in off the right wing, but again turning into trouble rather than away from it. And Ivory Coast have dealt with him fairly comfortably, Leroy Zane. And of all of the players in the Germany team, his selection's been one of the more controversial ones. There have been a number of polls from German fans in big publications in Germany voting that there should be a change down that right-hand side, but Julian Nagelsmann's kept faith with him.
Yeah, I think he needs to do a little bit more, Leroy Zane, because he's got a lovely left foot. He's got all the pace to burn. He just doesn't utilise it enough, because every single time he gets the ball, I want to see him drive at the defender and then cut inside and unleash a shot. Just try something. But at the minute, he's been a bit passive. He's getting the ball, he's just passing it, laying it off. And his involvement, to be fair, you'd have to say, certainly on this Germany right-hand side, has been a little bit non-existent.
Had it not been for injury, it may well have been the Bayern teenager Lennart Karl down that right-hand side for Germany, but he picked up an injury before the tournament started and had to give up his place in the squad. They've got lots of options on that right-hand side. Musiala and Wirtz are seen as locks, really. Havertz, if he's fit, will start up front, but that right-hand spot pretty much up for grabs. Here is Sané. Can he do something here against Conan? Low ball in, and that's swept behind for a corner. We're into the first of 7 additional minutes at the end of the first half here on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1.
That's better from Leroy Sané. That's better. Trying to take on the fullback, not just passing it.
Short corner from Wirtz. Finds Kimmich. Diminutive midfielder. Joshua Kimmich playing right back for Germany. Inside right channel, curling cross to the far post, headed away by Kosudu. Now Schlotterbeck thought about the left foot shot, plays it to Pavlovic, left edge of the penalty area. Curling cross towards Havertz, headed away by Conan. As far as Mecha, right foot shot, that was flying and really well dealt with by Ivory Coast. Musiala picks up the pieces edge of the D but can't control it, and it's away by Kosudu. And now Singo on the move. Lung-busting run from Wilfried Singo, and then Mecha came across as if it was the easiest thing in the world there to just dispossess him. Looks like in athletics where you've got a sprinter who's gone off too fast and suddenly they're overtaken.
Yeah, Mecha there done really well because Singo was off. He'd done the first part really well and then just almost ran out of gas there, but Mecha's done his defensive work really well in this first half, but they just need more of it going forward. He's got a great goal in the first game against Curacao, getting into a really good area. We need to see more of those attacking areas.
And he is in a bit more of an advanced position, finding Schlotterbeck. Forward to Musiala, left corner of the penalty area. Lays it off to Schlotterbeck. Can hit them with his left foot. Instead he rolls it to Brown, early cross, but it hits the heel of Singo. Ivory Coast have defended fantastically. But here is Musiala, he's dispossessed Ahmad, gets into the penalty area, he's going down in stages there, Musiala, and the referee, Juan Gabriel Benitez of Paraguay, shakes his head and says nothing doing.
I thought it was a foul. I thought Jamal Musiala on this left-hand side done really well. He almost jumps in between two, Frank Kessié and Ahmed, but then you look at the replay there, maybe he initiated the contact with the back of Ahmed's foot. But again, you need to get Musiala in these type of attacking areas on that left-hand side, high up, in between the lines, in between the fullback and the centre of Kosunu and Singo. That's where he's at his best, but haven't got him in there often enough.
Musiala suffered a serious broken leg at the Club World Cup last summer. Collision with Gigio Donnarumma, who was playing for PSG at the time. It was a really horrible injury. He had to work so hard to get back to full fitness. Vincent Kompany has managed his minutes at Bayern since he came back. Still contributed to a League and Cup double. But Bayern beaten in the semi-finals of the Champions League by the eventual winners PSG. Here's Kessié, whose goal separates the teams. Rumbles forward, finds Boni. Boni, right edge of the penalty area, and has he managed to win a corner? I think he has. He was running out of room all the time there, Boni, but he didn't panic, and he's got his team a chance to launch the ball into the box.
Yeah, great run there from Boni. Really, really good run because he had nowhere to go. Frank Kessié does really well, rolls it down the side of Schlotterbeck, and he manages to get his body in Boni, and at the last minute he just manages to try and dig out across and near the inside of the corner. Really good front play from him.
It's only his third cap for Ivory Coast. Juan Boni, 7 goals in all competitions for Inter as they won the league and the cup. 4 of the 7 minutes have elapsed. Stoppage time. Whipped in from the right. It was a poor corner, really, easily headed away by Nathaniel Brown. That was disappointing delivery. But Ivory Coast have the advantage. Franck Kessié with the goal after great work down the left from Diomande. He's lived up to the expectations of him in this first half. And Ivory Coast are taking their time here, and the referee is saying get on with it. Singo with a long throw, it headed away fairly comfortably by Pavlovic, but Germany just can't get out at the moment. They're not looking as fluid as they did in the opening exchanges. You have to credit Ivory Coast for that. They said they would go toe-to-toe with Germany. They've absolutely done that. And here's Diomande, inside left channel, midway inside the German half. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1 on TalkSport. Christie now surging forwards, plays a 1-2 on the edge of the area. Might break for Diomande, it has. Skips away from Kimmich. Can he keep the ball in? He did remarkably well to get there, and then Kimmich managed to get back to him, and there was a bit of a coming together that Diomande didn't appreciate. A rather timid push there on Kimmich.
It was almost like he pushed Kimmich and realised it was Kimmich and thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. but now he's looked really sharp, the man. Obviously the first 15 minutes was a little bit indecisive, but since then everything he's done has been with purpose, with quality, and he looks like he knows he's got the beating of Joshua Kimmich. It's just, can they get him the ball in the right areas? Because to be fair, I've been a bit critical of Leroy Sané going forward, but every single time there's been a break, he's got back to help Joshua Kimmich.
And that hasn't always been the case. He's really worked on that side of his game. Here is Havertz, 30 yards out for a German team that's trailing in Toronto, and they've lost the ball again. Ahmad this time working back to win it. You can see why they didn't concede a goal in qualifying. They didn't concede a goal against Ecuador either in the World Cup opener. 1-0 win. Looking for back-to-back victories. Looking for a place in the knockout phase of the World Cup finals for the first time in the country's history. Here is Pavlovic finding Wirtz, but Wirtz's ball around the corner is easily cleared. They've only got 1 more minute of this first half, Germany.
They're still persistent, they're still trying to go through the middle, and there's no space. I mean, that's where Ivory Coast are so strong, down the middle, and every single time they try a pass,
Wirtz was looking for Mecha there, and it nearly came off for them, but first touch eluded Felix Mecha. And the danger Germany have is on the counter, because that's what Ivory Coast will do. They'll just draw them in, try and hit them with that pace up front.
Exactly, it's almost like they're waiting for it, but the Ivory Coast wide players and the forward players are getting back so quickly to help the midfield three in there.
Here's Mecha, edge of the area, finding Havertz. Right corner of the box, wearing number 7 for Germany. And he scored a winning goal in the Champions League final for Chelsea. Here's Sané, weaving run, they found Wirtz in the box, dancing feet, but he could only poke the ball towards goal, and Fofana had a very comfortable save. The first bit from Wirtz, exceptional. The second, not so much.
Yeah, he just couldn't get the angle to get the ball out of his feet. He does so well with the first touch, but he just can't fashion a big enough touch to get a strike at it. I mean, Ivory Coast body's here, there and everywhere, and he tries to toe it in the end.
Well, it is half-time in Toronto, and we have a shock brewing. Germany started the game well. They've twice had the ball in the net, but they've had those goals ruled out. And Franck Kessié on the half-hour mark has scored the only goal of the game. Wonderful work down the left from Yan Diomande. His cross half cleared, and then Kessié there to sweep home. And that's why at half-time in Toronto, it is Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. Thanks, Hugh. Change for Germany at half-time, and it's an enforced one. Nico Schlotterbeck was struggling with injury throughout that first half, really. Went down a couple of times, and Antonio Rudiger is his replacement. Very experienced replacement. His 84th cap in Toronto for Die Mannschaft. Former Chelsea player. He's won the league, the Champions League with Real Madrid. So he comes on for Schlotterbeck. Germany have now gone 8 World Cup finals games without a clean sheet. It is their second longest run after they conceded in each of their first 9 matches between 1934 and 1954. And it has been a concern going into these World Cup finals that they weren't watertight defensively. And Darren Ben, we've seen them have a few problems already.
Yeah, we have. I thought certainly the longer that half went on, it looked like they were really running out of ideas, void of ideas in some respects, and Ivory Coast have to be patient, and I think that's going to be the theme in the second half. I think if Ivory Coast can stay patient but stay compact and be defensively solid, they're going to get a chance on the counter-attack, because Germany just leave space, going to commit more men forward. They know they need to win this game, and Ivory Coast can just be patient and wait.
No changes for Ivory Coast at half-time. It'll be the Elephants to get us underway in this second half, playing from left to right as we look at it, all in orange. Germany playing from right to left in those traditional white shirts, black shorts. Can Germany turn this around? I'll give you the 2 lineups in just a moment as Jonathan Tah comes across to deal with the danger. Germany with Neuer in goal, Brown, Rudiger, Tah and Kimmich at the back, Pavlovic and Mecha in midfield, a front 4 of Wirtz, Musiala, Sané and Havertz. Here come Ivory Coast down the right-hand side here with Ahmad, right edge of the German penalty area. And it was a poor ball, really. He had options in the box and he played it behind all of them. He's not had the best of games so far, Ahmad, but Germany have coughed up the ball in their own half. Christie now was knocked it across for Conan, who has the shot. Player who's had well over 50 caps for Ivory Coast and has never scored. Got delusions of grandeur there and went for goal and had his effort charge down. It's Fofana in goal for Ivory Coast. Konan, Agbadou, Kosunu and Singo at the back. Inau, Kessié, Sangare in midfield. And up front it's Diomande, Ahmad and Boni. And here is Anjoan Boni down by the byline. Twisting and turning, went down in the box and had a little look across at the referee, Juan Gabriel Benitez, who gives him no comfort. Tar with a very short back pass that was nearly seized upon by Ahmad, and all of a sudden there's just a few jitters creeping into Germany's game. Here is Diomande. Ivory Coast scenting blood in the water, rather more like sharks than elephants in that regard. They sense there is a second goal to be had here. Germany looking nervous, and they know what a blow this would be to lose this game. They would probably still make it through to the knockout phase, but this would be a real setback. Musiala forward to Kai Havertz with his back to goal and quickly seized upon by Sangare. And we've only had 2 minutes, Darren Bent, of this second half, but Germany not looking their best.
No, they haven't, and Ivory Coast have almost stepped on them this second half, and they're pressing really high up and not allowing Germany to kind of play out from the back. And you mentioned him there, Ahmed. He's got himself into some really good positions on this right-hand side, but he's got to do more with it. He's got to be better, more quality.
Nathaniel Brown racing forward for Germany, inside left channel from left back. He's found Musiala in the box, skips away from a challenge and then went for the shot. Actually came off the defender, hit the side netting at the near post. It'll be a corner, but nothing more than that. But just in the blink of an eye there, we saw how dangerous Jamal Musiala can be.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, you can see what he's trying to do on this left-hand side. He almost kind of chops back inside on Konasu, and it goes past him, and he just can't get the shot off, and then he ends up having a kind of a block tackle which goes out for a corner. But an opportunity here now for Germany, because with the height they've got, the likes of Rudiger's in there, Jonathan Tah, really big guys.
Kimmich to take the corner from this near side the left as we look at it, plays it short, finds Wirtz back out to Kimmich, changing the angle of attack. It's a nice idea by Kimmich, but it's too high, and Yaya Fofana, who made an important save early on from Kai Havertz, is able to grab it and get Ivory Coast moving. They have the pace to catch out Germany on the counter. Can they lure Germany into the trap? That's the big question. Remember, they did not concede a goal in qualifying, and they have not conceded a goal at the finals, so not a single goal conceded in any World Cup game.
I think you can quite see why that's the case, because defensively, certainly in the middle of the pitch, there's just no space. I mean, Germany have tried to play through there a number of occasions, they can't do it. But then when they do break, they break so quickly, and it's just about, can they choose the right option? That's going to be the battle of the second half.
Nice little first touch from Boni down the left-hand side. He's got Tah for company, but he held it up well there. Diomande now. It's a nice little triangle down the left-hand side for Ivory Coast. We've had 4 minutes in the second half. Kevin Hatchard alongside the former England striker Darren Bent for this one. Live World Cup football on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. A potential shock in Toronto. The 4 times winners, 4 times runners-up Germany, up against an Ivory Coast team that has never made the knockout phase of a World Cup. But if they win this game, they will break that hoodoo. Long ball forward by the goalkeeper Fofana, looking for Diomande down that left-hand side for Ivory Coast, but Germany have won it, and here's Musiala looking for Wirtz. So much of Germany's attacking game is about those combinations. They haven't really worked, and here is Kessié racing down the centre. The goal scorer finds Amat's right corner of the penalty area, back to Kessié, and his shot was charged down at the final moment. His eyes lit up there, the captain thinking he was going to double his money.
Do you know what? He chose the wrong option, and it's great play from Ahmed. We spoke about as he got more quality. If he did just little 1-2 into Frank Kessié with the outside of his boot, Ahmed, from this right hand side. If Frank Kessié had just lent it back to him, he would have had a clear strike on goal, Ahmed. But that's better from Ahmed, looking after the ball, controlling the ball, as opposed to trying the little flicks and the tricks which haven't worked for him. Just get the ball down and play.
2 goals and 3 assists in the Premier League this season, Ahmad, for Manchester United. Bit of space here for Tah, who made that block to deny Kessié a second goal. Wirtz has just played that Straight to Ivory Coast, and they break here in numbers with Christy now. Down the inside right channel, he's found Ahmed just into the penalty area. Ahmed checks, plays it across, and swept just over the crossbar by Christy now. He was 12 yards out, got right underneath it. Neuer not even in the equation, and Ivory Coast a whisker away from making it 2-0.
And now it's great play from him. I mean, the little jink between Wirtz and Pavlovic was incredible on the halfway line. Then he drives with the ball and chooses the right option, which is Ahmed on this right-hand side. And again, we spoke about Ahmed's quality. Again, he chose the right option, and he just leaves it in an area and then now comes onto it. If he hits the target, he scores. Because I think Manuel Neuer is rooted.
11th cap for his country. Christ Inau, he has never scored. That would have been a good time to change that statistic. Here's Pavlovic, 10 yards inside the Ivory Coast half. Rolls it gently to his right to find Zanet. 25 yards from goal, inside right channel, into Wirtz, edge of the D, tried to return it to Zanet. It was a bit too intricate really. It was a curled ball into the box, easily cleared. Havertz wins a bouncing ball on the edge of the area, but he heads it straight to Jan Diomande. His attempted clearance charged down by Kimmich, and then Havertz can't quite set a teammate on his way in the box. It's all a bit helter-skelter at the moment. 52 gone in Toronto. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1.
I'd like Wirtz to have a shot at goal there. I think he's in the middle of the D on the edge of the box. He's got about 5 yards of space, and he tries a little intricate pass in behind through the middle to Leroy Sané, which wasn't really on. I think in those scenarios there he could be a bit more ruthless. You know, I mean, he's got great technique, great quality. Just shift the ball to your right hand side and have a shot at goal.
Here's Kimmich, the captain. Hundreds of games for Bayern, so many trophies he's won. And he finds Zanet, will take on Conan. Right-footed cross, finds Wirtz at the far post. Havertz tried to spin on the edge of the 6-yard box, and the ball just got away from him. And Yaya Fofana able to pick up the loose ball.
Yeah, good play there from Wirtz again. Little kind of bounce pass into Kai Havertz, who just couldn't get it under control. Well, that's what you want to see from Zané in that first place, from that right hand side. Being direct, going past the fullback, getting a cross in. Whether he cuts inside or goes down the line, you need more than that from him.
Germany won the World Cup in 2014. Since then, they've not got out of the group stage. Failed in Russia in 2018. That was a pretty poor performance from them. They were better 4 years later in Qatar, but unlucky not to make it out of the group stage that time around under Hansi Flick. Julian Nagelsmann knows the pressure he's under, has to deliver. Got Germany to the quarterfinals of the Euros. They pushed Spain all the way. Spain, who went on to win that tournament in Germany. German fans still going on about the penalty they feel they should have had for the Marc Cucurella handball. Here's Ahmad turning on the turbos against Brown. Brown got back to him with a bit of a tug of the jersey, but Ahmad still keeps it. Low ball into the box, and Kessié was about to pull the trigger, and it was taken off his toe for a corner. But Franck Kessié, who got the goal, Darren Bent, keeps on making these runs into the box, and Germany aren't tracking him.
Yeah, he does. It's great play from Ahmed. I mean, he must have heard us, Kes, because we spoke about his quality, and it's got to be better. And since then, he's been outstanding. But Kessié, again, it's an opportunity there, but his touch just gets away from him. I mean, if he gets it under control, he's just inside the box, just outside the 6-yard box. If he gets the ball under good control, his next touch is a strike at goal, and he's 7 yards out. Because his touch is bad, it just gets away from him again. And these are opportunities that Ivory Coast need to take.
Ahmad to take the corner. Lots of air on that, too much air on it. It's cleared the penalty area, and Pavlovic will allow the ball to run, and he's fouled by Diomande, and that's going to be a free kick to Germany in their right back zone. Ahmad clearly heard our criticism, and he said, well, I'll accept it from Darren Bent, but Hatchard, absolutely not. Here's Singer racing onto the loose ball down the inside right channel, finding Ahmad again onto his left foot, and he just strokes the ball into the path of Sangare. Ivory Coast with the advantage. 10 minutes gone in the second half in Toronto, a sun-kissed Toronto, one of the big cities in Canada. Huge CN Tower dominating the skyline. Here's Conan down the left-hand side. Nice little exchange with Diomande. Conan with the left-footed cross over the head of Bodi. Ahmad was coming in at the far post, but I think Nathaniel Brown just got a tickle on that ball to send it clear. Here is Singo on the follow-up down the right-hand side of the area for Ivory Coast. Back to Inau. He has been impressive, Chris Inau, their youngest ever starter in a World Cup Finals match at the age of 20. And now Sangare moving into space, 20 yards out, finds Ahmad. Ahmad rolls it to Sangare, forces it across. Diamande with the volley, and he got it all wrong. He was coming onto it in the D, and he just rather dragged the volley into the floor, and the ball bounced almost apologetically wide of the far post.
Ivory Coast have to sense that Germany there for the taking. I mean, this last 5 minutes you have to this half time, Ivory Coast have been the better side, and every single time they've attacked, they're the ones that look like they've got an opportunity to score, but they have to believe it, they have to feel it. In games like this, we know Germany are the superior side with the players on paper that you think, well, they should win, but there's certainly a moment here where Ivory Coast have got to believe, do you know what, if we really show our quality in the final third, there are more opportunities for us.
The prize on offer, if they can win this game, is not only a famous victory, but it's place in the last 32. And unless Curaçao do something amazing against Ecuador, it could well be top spot in the group with a game to go, because they've already beaten Ecuador, and if they've beaten Germany as well, if Curaçao lose that game to Ecuador, then Ivory Coast are home and hosed, and Germany and Ecuador fighting for scraps. Here's Rudiger with the shot from range. Chelsea fans will remember that. 35 yards out, went for it, and the ball is still coming down. Goal kick.
I always think in situations like this, when you've got the defender shooting from 35 yards, that tells me if you're Ivory Coast, you have to take big positives from that, because he's not going to score from there, and that tells me they're running out of ideas. If you centre half is shooting from 35 yards, that tells me they're not quite sure how to break this Ivory Coast centre half down, and the Ivory Coast have to take confidence from that.
This is Germany's 21st World Cup finals. Only Brazil have had more. And as we say, it's been tough sledding for them in recent tournaments. They're going to make a triple change here. Jamie Laveling, one of the three players they're going to bring on. Just going to freshen up the attacking part of the team, it looks like. Here is Wirtz coming in off the left-hand side, finding Pavlovic. Be interested to see who he takes off. Of course, they are still being careful with Jamal Musiala after his serious injury. It's with Brown down the left-hand side, but Julian Nagelsmann in his dark T-shirt, just prowling the edge of his technical area. He's got a contract until the European Championships in a couple of years' time. It's a nice switch by Pavlovic out to the right, and Sané, 58 gone. Germany trailing 1-0 to Ivory Coast. Sané again forced away from the box. Kimmich floats it into the area, headed up but not really away by Singo. It's brought down beautifully by Wirtz, rolls it into Musiala. That's poked behind for a corner. Lovely play from Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, it was. The touch was incredible considering Singo was in his face, but they need more from Florian Wirtz. They need more from their attacking players. Musiala, Kai Havertz, who hasn't really had a sniff this second half. They need to start getting the ball into the right area, because as I said at the minute, certainly the second half, too predictable.
A long-range shot by Rudiger, by the way, was Germany's first goal attempt of the second half. Barely a goal attempt in truth. It's going to be Kimmich to take this corner, raises his right hand, plays it in right-footed, and the goalkeeper, very calm, just comes out and grabs it and bowls the ball out to the right-hand side. He was looking for Ahmad, just kicked up at him off the turf. Kai Havertz is down holding his head. Dennis Undav is one of the players ready to come on. And if Jamie Laveling's coming on as well, that's a double Stuttgart change. They're two players who've powered Stuttgart to a brilliant run in recent years. Qualified twice for the Champions League. They've won the German Cup. Laveling is coming on for Sané. That's no big surprise. Musiala making way for Undav. And Pavlovic, the third player to come off. That's an interesting one. Nadim Amiri is going to be his replacement. Now, Amiri is quite an attack-minded midfielder. He helped Mainz turn their season around in the season just gone. They were staring down the barrel of a costly shock relegation, but he was brilliant in the second half of the season. So he's on for Pavlovic. Undav on for Musiala. He can play in that 10, Undav. And Laveling on for Sané. Here's Havertz, who's been kept on rather than replaced by Undav. Undav, who Brighton fans might remember. He's a real fox in the box, Dennis Undav. Scored a hat-trick against Dortmund this season, which is one of the best displays of the striker's art I think I've ever seen. It's absolutely phenomenal. Here is Wirtz down the left for Germany, who needs something to happen. An hour gone in Toronto. here on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. Here is Undav wearing number 26, edge of the D. Labelling loves the shot, and he got right underneath that, and the ball flies over the crossbar. Jamie Labelling, who got 7 goals and 9 assists in the Bundesliga this season with Stuttgart. And he scored the winner against the Netherlands on his debut for Germany. And he's a rising star. He was linked with Bournemouth in the January transfer window. And Darren Bent, Julian Nagelsmann, had to do something. He's gone for 3 subs all at once.
Yeah, he's had to change the flow of this game at the minute, because again, it's been a little bit, well, not even a little bit, way too predictable. They've not really created any 2 chances. And as I said, when you've got your defender shooting from 35 yards, that tells me you're running out of ideas. And I think the space is out wide, but for whatever reason, Germany are reluctant to use that. That's where I think they're going to get most of their joy.
Labelling is a winger, but he's not really a touchline hugging winger. He's one that likes to come inside, likes to combine, likes to get a shot away. Undav is somebody who can play 9 or 10. He's very much that 9.5. Really clever player. And Amiri is an attack-minded 8, really. That will put a lot of pressure on Mecha to mind the shop. Here is Labelling, inside right channel again, not really wide. Rolls it into the area looking for Havertz, and it was swept away from Kai Havertz. Again, they're trying to force this through the middle, Germany. That's not really where the room is, as Darren Bent has said. Here's Amiri, right-footed cross towards Undav. That's nodded behind by Singo, and that's going to be a Germany corner. The one thing Ivory Coast can't allow this to become is attack against defence.
No, it can't, and I think they've got to be brave through. They've got to leave Diamande, Ahmed, let those guys try and carry the ball up the pitch. You can't just sit on the edge of your own box, because at some stage you'd have to say Germany will create a clear-cut opportunities. Up till now they haven't, but the longer this game goes on, they sure could do that.
Joshua Kimmich, who's won 16 trophies with Bayern Munich down the years, is going to take this corner, right-footed, captain of Germany. He's got Brown there for the short one, but I think he's going to launch this into the box towards the far post, and the header is wide. Havertz was coming in, and he just nodded it down into the floor and not on target. And once again, Yaya Fofana, the goalkeeper for Ivory Coast, was all over the place there.
Yeah, it's a big chance that for Kai Havertz as well. Can he get it on target? I mean, the goalkeeper for Fofana's flapping, he's getting nowhere near it. And to be fair to Kai Havertz, he sees it the whole way. I think if he hits the target with his head, he scores, but doesn't get enough on it, and it goes kind of near post wide. Again, a good opportunity there for Germany.
Julian Nagelsmann, the Germany coach, with his head in his hands. He's mid-30s, Nagelsmann. He was the youngest Bundesliga coach in history when he was given the Hoffenheim job at 28. Stepped up from their youth department, twice got them into the Champions League, got RB Leipzig to the semi-finals of the Champions League, and won silverware at Bayern before he was rather hastily sacked. Amiri's just won a challenge against Sangare in midfield, and he's down actually after that. He's found Labelling though, and now Wirtz coming in off the left touchline again. It's all going through the centre for Germany. They're not learning their lesson. 64 gone in Toronto. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. Amiri still gingerly getting to his feet. Here's Labelling on the left, edge of the area. Nutmeg Singo, but they can let the ball run to the goalkeeper. Lots of Germany possession, not a lot of Germany penetration.
Absolutely none. I mean, again, they're trying to go through the middle, but there's no space whatsoever. There's too many bodies in there. It hasn't worked up until this point. They have to go wide. When they've got the ball wide, Germany is when they've looked at their most dangerous. When you get in the likes of, you had Wirtz who's out there, you've got Luen, he's out there as well. You've got to keep it wide. Every single time you go through the middle, Ivory Coast are expecting that, and there's no space to play in there.
Ivory Coast bullish about their chances. And now Svei, their coach, said we're thrilled to have qualified, but that was not the end goal. We're not here for a holiday. And Federation President Yassine Idris Diallo said we want 6 games at least, which means we'll reach the quarter-finals minimum. They've certainly made a good start. They've beaten Ecuador 1-0 and they lead Germany by the same scoreline. Here is Jonathan Tah out to Brown. Brown chased down by Ahmad. He rolls it into his own half for Jonathan Tah across to Rudiger. And now Kimmich again. Kimmich, who does step into midfield from that right-back position to try and organise. Here's Brown inside left channel, and he tried to feed the ball to Wirtz, but it came off the toe of an Ivory Coast defender, and the ball goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, Nathaniel Brown took up a really good position because he went central, to be fair. He came off from that left-back situation and he tried to find a little cute ball into Florian Wirtz's feet, but again, Ivory Coast getting men back, getting bodies back and just kind of almost plugging holes and not allowing Germany to play between the lines. And again, Germany just been a little bit too predictable.
66th minute on TalkSport. Germany 0, Ivory Coast 1. Kevin Hatchard alongside the former England striker Darren Bent. At the moment we're watching Germany rather labour in the Toronto sunshine. Undav right in front of the goalkeeper here. It's Kimmich who takes it towards the far post. Goalkeeper much more convincing there. A Superman style dive, fisted the ball away. And the referee is going to give the free kick to Ivory Coast. The Germany fans don't like that. They feel that Fofana once again was rather selling the decision. He's just holding his midriff here, almost his ribs actually. Franck Kessié, the captain of Ivory Coast, backing up his teammate. The free kick has been given, so he doesn't really need to do that.
No, he doesn't, and for me there was no foul. I mean, again, he's rolling around, he's holding his ribs. I thought it was just a good punch. I mean, there's literally no foul on there whatsoever. And if anything, he hit Singo, his teammate. So for them to give a foul, I mean, look, he's not touched. It's Singo, his own teammate's the one who's hit him. It's a poor decision again from the ref.
He's been protected a fair bit, Yaya Fofana. Played for Le Havre with Angers in France. He actually did play under-21 football for France before making the switch to Ivory Coast. And Germany with 11 goal attempts to Ivory Coast's 8, but certainly hasn't felt like any kind of domination from Julian Nagelsmann's team. And it's worth bearing in mind that Ivory Coast defending really well, even though arguably their best centre-back is out at the moment. Evan Ndika plays his football in Italy, nicknamed by the Ivory Coast fans as the Minister of Defence. Here's Amiri, right foot cross, it's a good one, and volleyed home by Dennis Undav. That's what he does. Goal poacher extraordinaire, and it's the two subs who combine. Amiri's right-footed cross, and there was Undav, close range, to volley into the roof of the net. Julian Nagelsmann needed a hero, and one arrived in the shape of Dennis Undav. It's 1-1.
And that's what we spoke about. They had to mix it up, they had to change it, and this time they don't go through the middle, they get the ball wide, they put the crosses in the box, and that's where I think Ivory Coast have been vulnerable. It's a fantastic cross from Amiri, a really good run. I mean, he runs into the box, Undav, unchecked, no one marks him. It's about can he apply the finish. The ball drops in the middle of the 6-yard box. It's a firm left-footed contact on the volley into the roof of the net, and Germany are back into the game. But I said that, stop going through the middle, start going wide. Germany have done that, and look at the problems it's caused. They get themselves back into it. 1-1.
He got the winner against Ghana in a friendly in March. He got a goal against Curacao, and now he has a goal against Ivory Coast. Goals in back-to-back World Cup finals games for Dennis Undav. His 8th international goal in only his 11th cap. An extraordinary record for a player who, by his own admission as a youngster, was released by his beloved Werder Bremen for being too short and too fat. His words, not mine. And he's gone the long way round as an elite footballer, but here he is. Brown now finding Havertz in the area. Singo manages to get a touch to it. Goalkeeper collects second time around. But Julian Nagelsmann deserves his flowers here, Darren Bent, because he made the changes, and the changes have yielded an equaliser.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it was a fantastic cross from Amiri, who kind of drove with the ball, took it wide, and then just delivered a cross. And I've been saying all of this second half, Germany have been too predictable, trying to play for the middle. And you have to mix it up in games like this. Certainly when Ivory Coast are almost setting their rhythm centrally and are not allowing any passes between the lines. But it was a fantastic cross, but the run from Undav was fantastic, and the finish, the composure in the middle of the 6-yard box. Fantastic finish.
Here's labelling. Germany with their tails up here, going into the final 20 minutes of the game. Kimmich. Low ball towards the edge of the area, cleared by Sangare, and then Agbadou completes that clearance. We're reaching the closing stages of a fascinating game in Toronto, live on TalkSport, as every World Cup game will be across the TalkSport network, whether it's TalkSport or TalkSport 2. You'll get every kick of every game right up until the final. Here is Jonathan Tah. Can Germany ride the wave and turn this game around? Ivory Coast have finally conceded a World Cup goal. Low ball into the penalty area, only half cleared. It was a levelling run down the right edge of the box and it was guided towards him. Tried to help it across goal. Ivory Coast clearing up towards Diomande. Now Diomande trying to get away from Kimmich, and it needed Rudiger to come across and deal with him. It's been a bit quiet in the second half, Diomande, but it's not really his fault. He hasn't really had the ball.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, he's been a bit of a non-factor, certainly in the second half. But he showed a little bit of quality there, a little bit of strength. But they need to start now. Do go back to what they were doing, the basics, Ivory Coast. Keeping possession. I mean, slowing it down a little bit, getting the ball into Ahmed, getting the ball into Diomande. You know what I mean? I think Bonne's been really, really good in terms of holding the ball as well. But they need to start getting the ball back into the attacking players and start playing in Germany's half again.
That's the hydration break in Toronto. And I can tell you about the great action we've got coming up for you on Talk Sport. 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, Ecuador against Curacao. That's the other game in this group. Then at 5 in the morning on Sunday, Tunisia against Japan. 5 o'clock in the evening, Spain against Saudi Arabia. Spain looking for their first win after they drew 0-0 with Cape Verde. 8 o'clock Sunday night, Belgium against Iran. And then 11 o'clock Sunday night, Uruguay against Cape Verde. And then we go into the early hours of Monday, 2 o'clock, New Zealand against Egypt. Then Argentina, the world champions, up against Austria at 6 in the evening. And then at 10 o'clock in the evening on Monday, it's France against Iraq. Can Kylian Mbappe surprise and delight once again? But just going back to the goal, Darren Ben, Nadim Amiri has been putting in that kind of right-footed cross in the Bundesliga all season. Dennis Undav has been arriving late to score goals all season as well. And sometimes it's not always the big names per se that deliver in these tournaments.
No, it wasn't there, and again it was fantastic play from Germany. They mixed it up, as I said, and Nagelsmann deserves a lot of credit because he could have left some of his more experienced players on the big names on, but they weren't having an impact. Sometimes you've got to make big decisions, and sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. But certainly in this scenario here with Undav coming on and Amiri, it was a fantastic cross from Amiri and Undav. To be fair, Frank Kesse was a hero first half. He's the one who's tracking him into the box and he loses him, but then it's a fantastic finish from Undav in the middle of the 6-yard box. So again, this last 15 minutes certainly for Germany and for Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast will have to be so switched on now because we'd expect Germany front foot to start moving the ball, start playing with more quality and certainly more tempo.
Dennis Undav, by the way, 4 goal involvements as a sub at the World Cup so far, double any other player, and that's already more than any sub at the 2022 World Cup. Niklas Füllkrug and Alvaro Morata both had 3 goal involvements as subs in Qatar. So Dennis Undav, who is used to turning the stats on their heads, has delivered big time for Germany. He was by no means certain to make the squad, and as recently as March, Julian Nagelsmann was actually damning him with faint praise, and he had to apologise at one stage for being a bit too negative about Undav. It was actually Nagelsmann's wife who convinced him to apologise immediately and said, I think you went a bit far there. Wow. So he came out and said, yeah, I actually got that one wrong.
Yeah, he'd be texting his wife later saying, thank you for that, I needed that.
Yeah, got me out of jail there. Ivory Coast are going to make some changes here. Boni, Sangare and Ahmad all coming off. Brought on Evan Guesson. Simon Adingra, who's been on loan at Monaco from Sunderland, and Seko Fofana. Guesson, who finished the season with Palace, started the season with Aston Villa, which means he won 2 European trophies in one season. He won the Europa League with Villa, he won the Conference League with Palace. It's never been done before. Players never won 2 major European tournaments in the same season for different clubs. So Guesson is pretty much going to be through the middle. Adingra, who Brighton fans know and Sunderland fans know, will be out wide. And Fofana is a like-for-like change in midfield, so it's pretty much fresh legs, Darren Bent, in all 3 of those positions.
Yeah, I think they needed it as well, a little freshen up, to be fair to the Ivory Coast, because since Germany have got themselves back into the game, they've lagged a little bit. I mean, they started off the second half with such intensity and such creativity, and they haven't managed to build on that. I know they had a couple of half chances as well, and that's what I spoke about, the quality in the box. If they could have just done better with the touches, they might find themselves getting more opportunities.
Amiri's made a real difference to that midfield, and he's the kind of player that does recognise what Darren Bent's been talking about, where the space is, and that space has been out wide on the right. That's where he pulled to for the cross for the equaliser. He's a really clever player, Amiri. Actually left Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso midway through their double winning campaign because he was only a peripheral figure. He went to Mainz, who were in relegation danger. He was absolutely brilliant for them, and he much preferred being the main man rather than just getting a few minutes here and there, even though it was a team that won trophies. He's the kind of guy he is. He has that main character energy. He's shown that since coming on. 77th minute in Toronto on TalkSport. Germany 1, Ivory Coast 1. Germany coming back from goal down. Can they complete the comeback and make it through to the last 32 ahead of time? Here's Undav, the goal scorer, finding Wirt, scampering away from the challenge of Kessié, but Kessié got back to him. Germany felt should have had a free kick there. Wirt went down, and he's still on the floor. And actually, Ivory Coast have a player down as well, Christy now in the centre circle. But the referee says to Ivory Coast, you have the ball. And he's suggesting to Christy now that he should get to his feet, and so he duly has.
Christian now, he's got to his feet, he looks perfectly fine. I don't understand the rolling around and holding your foot. Do you know what I mean? I know you're trying to maybe waste a few minutes for your team in this situation, but do you know what I mean? Just get on with it.
Especially now, because if you need treatment, you have to stay off the pitch for
exactly,
at least a minute.
And he's been so important to the way Ivory Coast have played today. He's been outstanding. They need him on the pitch.
He's quite a diminutive character, Christy, now, but he plays with such confidence. Here's Wirtz for Germany, looking to change things. Nice turn by Nathaniel Brand at the left edge of the area, cuts it back, and there is Christy now to pick up the pieces. He's done a bit of everything today. Now he's found Guesson. Guesson just jabs it out to the right hand side, and Diomande, who has switched to this near side as we look at it, can play off either flank. He's got Tar for company and Mecha, so he has to go back and find Dinao, and he just sweeps it first time out to Conan. 78 gone in Toronto. Is there going to be a winner between Ivory Coast and Germany? All square at the moment.
They've been so much better in possession at Ivory Coast when they've won the ball back. Certainly in the first half, it was in a rush to kind of get the ball forward and maybe didn't take care of the ball. But certainly as the game's gone on, when they've won the ball back in possession, getting the little passes in, little 1-2 and touch passes, 5-6 pass sequences as well, just to almost try and draw Germany onto them. But it's been a lot better now.
I mentioned that Dennis Undav has 8 goals in his first 11 caps for Germany. It's 12 goal involvements in 11 games for Germany, and he's the first Germany player to score in his opening 2 World Cup finals matches since Miroslav Klose back in 2006. He was quite good, Klose.
He wasn't bad, was he? He was not bad at all.
Quite enjoyed the World Cup, as I seem to remember.
He's joint top now, isn't he, still with Messi?
Yeah, still, after all this time. Remarkable record in these World Cup finals, Miroslav Klose.
I can't lie, I was a little bit disappointed when he passed R9, because R9's 15 when he had the record for a little while.
I think, like me, you're very much an acolyte of R9 though. Even you mentioning him, my ears pricked up at that. Here's Singo wide on the right hand side. Now Diomande, he tried to feed it to Kessié in the box, but I think he took Kessié by surprise. Kessié was expecting him to shoot. Here's Havertz trying to gallop away from Singo. Singo's so quick, so powerful, Wilfried Singo, and he just shrugged off Havertz, who is actually pretty strong. He was a goalkeeper to start with, Wilfried Singo, because his father was an amateur goalkeeper, and Wilfried wanted to follow in his footsteps, but then he said he saw all of the outfield players scoring goals and having fun and thought, I actually fancy a bit of that. Sorry, Dad.
Well, so he then turned into a right back. He said, all these players having all this fun, I thought I'd be a right back.
Yeah, but you know right backs nowadays.
Yeah, true.
And he's definitely one of those that's quite happy to be on the charge from right back, so...
He's been fantastic today, but it is a concern because there he defended really well there up against Kai Havertz, and then he pulled up. He was the one who put the ball out of play, holding his hamstring. So you hope that he's okay. But I mean, the body strength he shows there to hold him off. But as he goes away from Kai Havertz, he just pops the ball out of play on his own, and then holds his hamstring.
And it was a strange moment, that, actually. And as Darren Bent says, he just felt the back of his left leg. Julian Nagelsmann just on the edge of his technical area, barking instructions. It's unusual for a coach of his age to be in charge of a national team, but he's done a good job so far. Certainly did well at the Euros. As the ball comes off the referee, I feel like this tournament referees have been in the way more than in any tournament I've ever seen. I don't know if it's to do with the ref cam, maybe, that trying to get some decent footage, perhaps, but I don't think I've ever seen refs be in the way so often as I have in this tournament.
They're definitely a lot closer to the action than they usually are. They're definitely taking up more of a central position as well, which is why probably you're seeing more of them getting hit with the ball.
And Zviets finding Tar. 82nd minute in Toronto, 1-1. Game delicately poised, and Mecha's giving it up to Fofana. Seko Fofana, the midfielder. He's run offside, so Adingra couldn't find him, but he's kept hold of it, and Guesson will find Diamande. He can run at Brown. Right corner of the penalty area for Ivory Coast. He's given it away to Weerts. Some of Weerts' defensive work's been brilliant for Germany in this game, and then Diamande went to ground hoping to win the free kicks. Not quite happened for Jan Diamande in this second half.
No, as well, and he's not been as direct as he once was. I mean, certainly first half he was trying to get at Joshua Kimmich and causing problems, but maybe he looks a little bit more uncomfortable on this right-hand side. Certainly on the left-hand side in the first half he was getting more joy, but second half has been a lot quieter.
Yeah, it's a strange one because he can play really well off that right-hand side, and he can give defenders a real problem. Gave Capio a right old chasing in the first half against Ecuador. Poor old Singo's gone off, and he looks really upset, actually. He's been replaced by Gelo Doué, who is the elder brother of the France and PSG winger Desiré Doué. So Doué, who actually did start the game against Ecuador, has come on now for Singo, and Singo was covering his face there with his shirt, which suggested perhaps he was crying. He certainly looked very upset, so we hope that's not a tournament-ending injury for him. Here's Conan trying to make some space down the left for Ivory Coast. Good cross, and Tar had to come across and get there ahead of Guesson. He's helped that behind for a corner. It's a super ball in by Ghislain Conan, and Guesson, who was on the move, couldn't quite get there. And we're just seeing on our monitors Singo getting some treatment on that left leg, and he looks so upset.
Yeah, he does. I think he knows in himself, and certainly having done that injury before, that hamstring injury, it's awful. There's no quick fix for that, no quick fix at all. So he's had a really good game as well today, so I feel for him.
Corner for Ivory Coast here on TalkSport. 84th minute, 1-1. It's bounced towards Agbadou, who got the flick on, away by Havertz, not very far. Doué trying to get the shot away. Havertz again intervened, and now Labeling looks to bring it clear. Again, Christie now able to get a touch to it. He's been so good in midfield for Ivory Coast. Now Fofana, edge of the area, turned sharply, got the shot away, but it was a good block by Germany. And Ivory Coast, having been on the back foot for a lot of this second half, has suddenly moved into a higher gear, and now Undav's given it away to Guesson, and Jonathan Tah came to slam the door shut in the face of Evan Guesson, who just suddenly found the statuesque Tar in front of him.
Yeah, he did a good opportunity there again, but Diamande, he got on the ball, he's almost like he's gone down a little bit. I wonder if he's maybe carrying a slight knock or he's tired, but he's certainly not moving with the same freedom he was moving with at the start of the game.
And he looks as though he's going to go off, Jan Diamande. It was Diamande who set up the Ivory Coast goal with a trademark scamper down the left, and it'll be another winger to come on. Nicolas Pepe, former Arsenal player. Pepe, who's had a brilliant season for Villarreal, helped them finish third in La Liga, and he got 8 goals and 8 assists in that campaign. And we're going to see Kai Havertz jog off, and he's going to be replaced by Leon Goretzka, who is a midfielder, but that means that Undav will just replace Havertz at the top of the formation, I would imagine. Goretzka, who is leaving Bayern Munich after 12 trophies with the club, leaving as a free agent. It's going to be a hell of a signing for someone. Very experienced player, so he comes on, and Havertz has run his race, 85 minutes in the legs for a player whose season with Arsenal was disrupted by injury. Who can have the bravery to go and win this game? Prize is a big one. Qualification secured for the last 32 with a game to spare. Here's Undav, too strong for his opponent, right foot shot, and it was taken pretty comfortably by Yaya Fofana. It was head height the save, and he just bounced the ball into the turf, but again Undav looking to make things happen.
Yeah, no backlift either with the strike. I mean, the first part was really good. It got into his body. He managed to turn and get the strike off. Maybe it was an easier pass to the right-hand side, but I've got no issue with that. Centre forward trying to get a shot or goal.
Nearly quick football, Dennis Undav, after he was released by Werder Bremen. That was a really tough blow for him early on in his career. But he worked his way back up through the German lower leagues. He played in Belgium for Union Saint-Gilloise. He played for Brighton in England. And here he is scoring in back-to-back World Cup finals games. Sometimes progress is not linear in football.
Yeah, he deserves all the credit in the world to come back from that. You know, I know people that have been released from football clubs, and you almost feel like your world's ending. But for him to come back and find himself at another World Cup, you'd have to say fair play to him. And he's looked sharp since he's come on as well. His touch has been good. He's looked inventive. He's looked hungry. Like he's almost like I've got a point to prove. I should be starting in this team. And his performance, I just wonder Germany's next game.
Here's Seko Fofana taking on Rudiger, left edge of the Germany area. He tried to cut it back for Kessié, and Mecha, as he has so often, got a foot in, and then Mecha wins the free kick. He's done a really good job, Felix Mecha, just fighting fires in that midfield for Germany. And with 87 minutes gone on TalkSport, it remains Germany 1, Ivory Coast 1.
Yeah, he's got his body in the way there. A number of occasions, winning free kicks for his team. As I said, we know what quality he's got going forward. Can he show a little bit more of that?
A bit loose from Geladue there. He's giving it straight to Undav, 30 yards from goal for Germany. He just lays it off for Amiri. They're the two that combine for the Germany goal. Nadim Amiri and Dennis Undav. And here's Brown on the left. His curling cross volleyed away by Seko Fofana, the substitute for Ivory Coast. And now a bit of room down this right-hand side for Pepe. Scampering away from two challenges to the edge of the area. Nicola Pepe, he's teed up a teammate. It was Adingra, and Adingra with a poor first touch went straight into traffic. Massive chance for Adingra, and the Sunderland man could not even get a shot away.
He has chosen the complete wrong option. I mean, it's fantastic work on this right-hand side from Nicolas Pepe, who gets away from Jonathan Tah. He almost allows the run from Gasson to kind of take the defender away, and he rolls a lovely cross into the box for Adingra. He's got to hit it first time. If he hits it first time, he probably scores. He tries to take a touch and be too cute with it, and the opportunity's gone. But they're opportunities you can't turn down. Unbelievable opportunity there for Adingra.
What a chance for Simon Adingra. And now it's Tah for Germany, 40 yards from goal. Plays it to Mecha, inside right channel. And now Kimmich, in from right back to organise. Floats it to Wirtz, left edge of the area. Back for Brown. Brilliant save by Fofana. Got down so well to his left-hand side to push that ball away. And Nathaniel Brown denied what would have been his second goal of the finals. Yeah,
great save there from Fofana. But again, it's Florian Wirtz. The cross comes in, and he just leaves it in a little area for Brown to come onto it. And he connects really well. Goes across goalkeeper. It's a brilliant save from Fofana.
89th minute in Toronto. Live World Cup football on TalkSport. He's labelling down the right-hand side, down by the corner flag, the far side as we look at it, and Conan is in his way. He's had a solid game. And Gislain Conan plays in Portugal for Gil Vicente, who finished 6th in the Portuguese Primeira. Long throw here by Tah, that's volleyed away by Inau. He's got to be up there for man of the match, I would say. Here's Seko Fofana charging forward. He's played it too straight, looking for Pepe. That was a really poor ball, and Pepe has turned to him and said, what was that?
Do you know what? It was a really poor ball, but it was a really poor run from Nicolas Pepe. There was no space whatsoever for Fofana to find him with that pass. He should have gone wider to create the space.
He's labelling low ball into the box, and that's straight at Yaya Fofana. Chances are, of course, if this does end in a draw, it'll probably be enough already for both teams to make it through to the last 32. And Ivory Coast still have that game to come against Curaçao, who do at least look like the weakest team in the group. Smallest nation ever to qualify for the World Cup finals. Germany have a potentially tricky final game against Ecuador. Here's Wirtz, just in front of the centre circle, finds Undav. Dennis Undav, edge of the area, finds Amiri with the low shot, could have scored, didn't score, straight at the goalkeeper. His hands on his head, he knows that was a massive chance as we tiptoe into stoppage time.
They're working really well again. It's Florian Wirtz is at the heart of it. A little 1-2 there, and it's a great ball from Undav as well. And Amiri composes himself. He almost opens his body out, just doesn't get enough on it. In the middle of, just on the penalty spot, you'd have to say, doesn't get enough on it, and he almost telegraphs it to the goalkeeper, who Fofana, who's made another good save.
Huge opportunities at both ends in the closing stages. Adingra blew one for Ivory Coast, and Amiri, who has the quality to find that bottom corner, did not do so. Only his 12th cap for Germany. Space here on the right for Labeling. Back to Mecha. And one of these teams find a winner in stoppage time. 6 additional minutes, we've had one of those. Labeling hugging the right touchline. Infield to Kimmich, who's getting more and more involved, but that's a really poor ball from him. Left-footed, floated over the heads of Undav and Goretzka and straight into the gloves of Yaya Fofana, who did a few minutes ago make a brilliant save from Nathaniel Brown.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the camera angle from behind the goal showed how good it was, because he's really unsighted with it, and it's a good contact from Nathaniel Brown, but he manages to get down Fofana. And not only does he make a great save, he palms it into an area where there's no attackers obviously present. Really, really good save from him.
And the last time Germany won on match day 1 and drew on match day 2 was the 2014 World Cup. It's fair to say that went pretty well for them after that, as they lifted that famous golden trophy in Brazil. Hammered the host nation 7-1 in the semi-finals.
I think it was 5 at half time, I think.
It certainly was, and they showed a bit more mercy in the second half.
Call that mercy?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't mercy in the first half. Nathaniel Brown just on his haunches here. Germany have it though. They are getting on with it. They want to win this game. And now if they do win, then that's a place in the last 32 sorted out for them. Of course, the other game in this group takes place in the early hours of Sunday morning. 1 o'clock kickoff on TalkSport. Ecuador against Curacao. We've got games all the way through Father's Day for you. Late into the night and the early hours of Monday morning as well. Here's Tar just inside the Ivory Coast half. Slides it back to Rudiger on as a half-time sub for the injured Nico Schlotterbeck. Now Kimmich, who's just basically taken over and said, I'm going to lead by example. Plenty of the ball in the closing stages. Of course, that then does leave a gap at the other end. Here's Brown, tried to feed the ball through for Amiri, who'd made a run into the penalty area, but Ivory Coast so strong defensively. Here is the muscular Tar out to Wirtz again. He's had some really good moments. Florian Wirtz just pointing where he wants Amiri to go. He wanted him to go on the overlap, but he didn't go there. Now Mecha guns it into the area, and Dennis Undav may well have won it. Undav at the double. An extraordinary record for Germany. He's becoming their talisman. He came up with the equaliser. He might just have scored the winner. It was fired into him in the area. A smart turn. A classic Undav finish. He is the hero in Toronto. Germany lead Ivory Coast by 2-1.
I'm just waiting to see if this is onside, but if it is onside, it's a great goal from Dennis Undav. I mean, the touch, because it's fired into him, he's got no room to work with, and he opens his body out, he takes it with his right. This will be the angle to see if he's offside. I mean, it's Mecha, and it's clearly onside. He's a yard onside, but it's the touch. He shifts it onto his left foot, he takes it with his right, back onto his left, and he just smashes it. He doesn't try to be too cute with it. He smashes it down the middle, past Fofana from just inside the box. It's the first touch that sets it up. It's a great finish. 2-1 Germany.
Deadly Dennis at the double. And he may well be Germany's match winner. He is a super sub extraordinaire. His 5th goal involvement of these World Cup finals, all as a substitute. Well, he might not be a substitute against Ecuador the way he is playing, and he's just showing the name on the back of his shirt to the crowd. I think more and more people are going to get to know Dennis Undav with what he's doing at these World Cup finals. But the pass from Mecha is superb.
Yes,
Punched
incredible.
through the lines.
Incredible. I mean, as you said there, Kev, he punches it in, but it's the first touch from Undav from his right foot, just shift it back onto his left foot, just inside the box. And he doesn't try to be too clever with the finish. He just goes, do you know what? I'm going to smash it. And sometimes those are the best finishes. Keeper can't react. Goes down the middle. Great finish.
Heartbreak for Ivory Coast, who led this game for a big chunk of it. But Dennis Undav has taken it away from them. Absolutely incredible. He now has 9 goals in 11 caps. And he has more goal involvement than games in the Germany shirt. A man who's on the long way round to elite football. But boy, it was worth the wait. Not just for him, but for Stuttgart, his club side, and for Germany, his national side. And we're in the final seconds in Toronto, and Germany are nearly there. A win that didn't look likely for a lot of this match. Kessié has it taken off his toe. Kessié, who gave Ivory Coast the lead half an hour in. Germany have done this the hard way. Gets on with a flick in field, but how Ivory Coast will look back on that error by Adingra, that massive chance at 1-1, which he spurns. We're well beyond the 6 additional minutes. By the way, Julian Nagelsmann complaining to the 4th official, pointing to the clock in the stadium, but Germany have done it. An extraordinary comeback. Julian Nagelsmann roars with joy, and Dennis Undav, the ultimate super sub, scored both of Germany's goals. They fell behind on the half-hour mark to a strike from the Ivory Coast captain Franck Kessié, but Dennis Undav levelled on 68 minutes, and deep into stoppage time he won it. The arch finisher, the fox in the box, he's done the damage. Germany have qualified for knockout football at this World Cup. They didn't in Russia in 2018. They didn't in Qatar in 2022. But at this World Cup, they will play in the knockout phase. And they have started this tournament with back-to-back victories. For Ivory Coast, a chance to wonder what might have been. The final score in Toronto, a dramatic finale. It's finished Germany 2, Ivory Coast 1.